Hi all, lockdown detailing part number 2. Hope everyone's well. Just to recap, yesterday we did claying, but first what we did was we removed loose dust from the paint, and then we clayed to remove any bonded contaminants from the paint before any compounding. Today we're going to do some compounding. Compounding basically is to remove or correct the below surface defects before any other step like polishing or waxing. Now when we talk about defects, we talk about things like swirls, we talk about scratches, we talk about faded paint. But to run through it, we're going to go through 4 different types of paint defects or below surface paint defects. The first one being oxidized or faded paint. This normally happens when the car is parked in one spot for an extended period of time without being washed to remove any dirt and without being waxed to protect the paint. The second is holograms. That comes from the improper use of a rotary buffer, the incorrect speed and the incorrect product on a rotary buffer, or even worse, a combination of all of the above points. This here is your finest form of scratch, which doesn't require a lot of effort and product to rectify. The third and most common defect is washing swirls or spiderweb swirls. This is more evident on the bonnet and the boot of the car, because that's the height of the bonnet of the boot is where maximum pressure is put on at the car wash. Hence, that's the worst part. This here is normally seen when light hits the car, and it looks like unsightly spider webs. The fourth one is random isolated deep scratches, RIDS or RIDS for short, which is normally inflicted on the paintwork by a screwdriver, by a nail, a key, or a metal stud on an item of clothing. It's normally the deepest form of scratch, so it requires a lot more effort and product to remove. On the illustration, we can see how a scratch is made up. You see the sharp edges pointing up at the top of the scratches as it's circled. That is basically what you see as a scratch when light reflects off it. So by leveling that off or rounding it off or smoothing it off, we take away the sharp edge so we can not see the scratch anymore. For this compounding exercise, we're going to be using Ultimate Compound, which is by far our best retail or consumer line product. Very simple to use, clear coat safe, and incorporates SPAC, which is super micro abrasive technology. Okay, let's get our hands dirty. What I have is a W002 applicator pad, which will be used to apply the compound. We're going to make sure that our compound, before we open the bottle, give it a quick shake, and we prime the pad. Very, very important. Prime it so that every bit of surface area of the pad is coated with product. This avoids any hazing that could be caused by a dry section of the pad. You only do this once before you start. Similarly to claying, with compounding as well, we work on a 500 by 500 section before we move on to the next section. We don't allow it to dry on the pad or on the car. We don't allow it to dry. We work it into the paint and we wipe it off straight away. The amount of compounding would be proportional to the level of the defects, the depth of the defects, and also the hardness of the paint. So all you need is that amount. When applying the compound, be sure to hold it properly to provide even surface pressure when working the product into the paint. Don't bend it or don't put your fingers down in the center. Put it down and apply even pressure over 500 by 500 as such. Work in small, tight circles, overlapping each other. And apply as much downward pressure as you possibly can. Continue working it into the section until you have very little to no product left. Any excess that needs to be wiped out is actually wasted product. So just ensure that you use the correct amount. Once you're done, you've got your microfiber towel, X2010, you wipe off in a straight line. Inspect the surface using an LED torch or your phone torch. Check if you've rectified it. If you haven't, you may need a second or even a third application, as I say, depending on how deep the defects are and how hard the paint is. Once you're happy with what you've achieved there, you move over to the next step. Okay guys, a quick recap of compounding or the application of it. Ensure that you work no more than 500 by 500 millimeter section at a time. Ensure your applicator pad is adequately primed. Just use enough product on there for the section that you are working with. Apply even downward pressure in circular fashion over the entire surface and work the product till you have almost nothing left to avoid wastage. And lastly, do not allow the product to dry. This is very important because when you're buffing off compound that's dry, you will scratch the paint again. Catch us for our next one on polishing and glazing. See you guys, bye.